All right, go ahead, Ian.
Thanks, Vicki. Welcome everybody to the November 16th Electric Toasters and Cascade Speakeasy meeting. Our theme tonight is winter, a promise or a threat. I can't wait to hear what people have to say about that, because I know I've got some pretty deep feelings about winter this year. With that said, Rob, would you please guide us through our Pledge of Allegiance tonight?
I would be happy to, Mr. President. Would everyone please mute themselves? Focus on my voice and my screen and repeat after me. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Back to you, Mr. President.
Thanks, Rob, very much. Our Toastmaster tonight is Dean. Dean, would you please take it away?
Certainly. Good evening from the Great White North. Lloyd has supplied us with another great and relevant meeting theme, winter, a promise or a threat. Here in the Methow Valley, Winthrop is delivering on promises with 3 unusually early and significant snowstorms, including about 10 inches so far today. We're off to a great start building our snowpack for next summer's irrigation water, and ski season started yesterday. My wife and I sculpted a snowcat today, so I got to feel like a little kid again, which doesn't happen that often these days. Now I get to finish off the day with a wonderful Toastmasters meeting. It looks like we've got no guests. We do have one program change. Jackie will not be speaking tonight as she's fallen ill. I hope she's going to be okay. And I understand from Rob's chat message that he has a joke for us. So Rob, take it away.
I do, and thank you very much for that introduction. I thought it would be appropriate, since many of you probably saw at least 1, if not 2, giant chickens on the street corners of Wenatchee this weekend. So my joke is about chickens. A man was driving along a freeway when he noticed a chicken running alongside his car. He was amazed to see the chicken keeping up with him as he was doing 50 miles per hour. He accelerated to 60 and the chicken stayed right with him. He sped up to 75 miles per hour and the chicken passed him. The man then noticed that the chicken had 3 legs. So he followed the chicken down a road and ended up at a farm. He got out of the car and saw that all the chickens had 3 legs. He asked the farmer, "What's up with the chickens?" The farmer said, "Well, everybody likes chicken legs, so I bred a 3-legged bird. I'm going to be a millionaire." The man asked him, "How do they taste?" The farmer replied, "Don't know, haven't caught one yet."
Good one. Thank you, Rob. In the next part of our meeting, we will hear from the evaluation team about the evaluation portion of our meeting. Our general evaluator tonight is an experienced and distinguished member. Please welcome our general evaluator, Christina Stepper.
Thank you, Dean. It's an honor to serve as general evaluator this evening. I will be watching the overall function of the meeting. At the conclusion, each of the members of the team will share a report with the group. First, I'd like to introduce the members of the team. Each of them will explain their role this evening. We have 1 speech tonight and thus 1 speech evaluator. Our evaluator this evening is Eric Stepper. Eric?
Thank you, Madam General Evaluator. It'd be my pleasure to evaluate Vicki's speech. She is going to be giving a demonstration. Purpose for this project and the purpose for the speech is for the member to present a speech on any topic, receive feedback, and then apply that feedback to the second speech. The member will deliver a well-organized speech on any topic focused on the member's speaking style. Be sure to recommend improvements that the member can apply to the next speech. This is for all of us in giving our feedback, not just me. The speech may be humorous, informational, or any style the member chooses. The member will ask you to evaluate her on her second speech in a future meeting. This has been a theme that this track does, and this is Vicky's duties tonight. Her timer of the speech is 5 to 7 minutes, and I will give my report when called upon. Ms. General Evaluator.
Thank you, Eric. The next member of the team is our timer this evening. Ian is our timer. Ian, would you explain your role, please?
Absolutely, happy to. We have several roles tonight that we'll be taking on, one of which Eric just described, which is a speech. That speech is 5 to 7 minutes. And Vicky, I will be keeping track of your time so that you know exactly where you're at in your speech and how much time you have until the speech is done. I'm always impressed by Joyce's toilet paper. So tonight I thought I would add a little flair to our timing. At 5 minutes, we've got her done green. At 6 minutes, Vicky, got whoa Nelly Yeller. And at 7 minutes, wrap it up red. For our speech evaluation tonight, it'll be the same colors. Got her done green, 2 minutes and 30 seconds. Whoa Nelly Yeller. And at 3 minutes, wrap it up red. For our table topics tonight, our table topics are 1 to 2 minutes. And again, the same pattern. At 1 minute, got her done green. 1.5 minutes, whoa Nelly Yeller. And at 2 minutes, wrap it up red, indicating your time should be about done. I'll report back how we all did at the end of the evening. Madam General Evaluator.
Thank you, Ian. We all appreciate the ingenuity and creativity in your timing sheets. Look forward to that. Thank you very much. The next member of the team is our grammarian, also the newest member of our Toastmasters group. Lucas, tell us what you'll be doing tonight.
Thank you, Madam Toastmaster. And Ian, I do like those cards. Those are very, very cool. As grammarian, it is my responsibility to pay close attention to all speakers, listening carefully to their language usage. I'll take notes of any misuses of the English language, as well as any outstanding words, quotes, sayings, or thoughts. As grammarian, it's also my duty to introduce the word of the day. So for today's meeting, the word is, one second, let me share my screen. Are you able to see that?
Yes.
Can you see that?
Agenda.
We saw the word of the day a
Oh,
moment
you
ago.
saw it? Okay,
There we
now
go.
you can see it. Okay, so the word of the day is abnegate. And abnegate means to deny or renounce. And an example of this word is the school counselor hopes she could encourage her students to consider the abnegation of drug use. It's a tongue twister. Each speaker, let's see. Okay, each speaker is encouraged to use the word of the day, and at the end of our meeting, I'll give the word of the day report and grammatical usage report when called upon during the meeting. Thank you, Madam Toastmaster. Back to you.
Thank you, Lucas. Very well done.
Thank you.
The next member of the team is our awe counter, Joyce Matheson. Joyce, would you explain what you will be doing this evening, please?
Yes, Miss General Evaluator. I will be doing what Ian usually does, and Ian will be doing what I usually do. Freaky Friday, but on a Monday. I knew somebody would get that joke. I will be looking during the meeting for overused words, including and, well, so, you know, basically any interview on the news. I will give my report at the end of the meeting. Thank you very much, General Evaluator.
Thank you, Joyce. I look forward to your report. At this point in the meeting, I would like to turn the meeting back to our Toastmaster, Dean Caraff. Dean?
Thank you. That looks like an outstanding evaluation team, which brings us to the next part of our meeting, which is the speech section. Our speaker tonight is working on level 1 in the motivational strategies path. Vicki will be giving her first speech in the feedback and evaluation project. How a person views feedback can differ from person to person. Growing up, Vicki viewed feedback as negative criticism. Toastmasters became the start of viewing feedback in a different way. Today, Vicki will be talking about how a person may view feedback. Please help me welcome Vicki Chatterton and her speech entitled On Course, Off Course.
Thank you, Dean. Fellow Toastmasters, when we set a goal, we need to take action. But after we take that action, what we do afterwards is very important. Because once we begin to take action, we'll start to get feedback about whether we're on the right track. We'll get data, advice, help, suggestions, directions, and even criticism that will eventually help us consistently adjust and move forward while continually enhancing our knowledge, abilities, attitudes, and relationships. But asking for feedback is only the first part of the equation. How we respond to feedback can make all the difference in how successful we are at achieving our goals. This exercise that I'm going to demonstrate is important about how we respond to the feedback on our road to success. It demonstrates how people can react to feedback in a counterproductive way. Now, I've asked Rob to help me with this demonstration, and he has so graciously accepted. And so, Rob, what I'm going to be doing is I'm going to be doing a demonstration where if my hands are going this way, you will say on course. If they go this way or this way, you will say off course. Do you understand that, Rob?
I do.
All right. So let's begin the demonstration. Rob, why aren't you saying anything?
You're not moving.
Aha. So the first lesson is that the universe only responds to action. And if we want feedback, we must do something, anything. In a book, The Search of Excellence, Tom Peters talks about the top companies in America as having a ready, fire, aim action plan. They shoot first, and then they take corrective action. But most people play the game of ready, aim, 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 but they never do anything. So our first lesson is to do something. Okay, Rob, are you ready to do this again?
Yes, I am.
All right. Now we're going to look at some common ways that people respond to feedback that can be counterproductive and don't work.
On course, on course, on off course, off course, off course, off course, off course.
Oh, I can't take it anymore. It's too hard. I quit. Do any of you know people that just cave in? Yeah. All right. Let's try another one. Are you ready?
On course, on course, on course, on course, off course, off course, off course, off course, off course, off course.
Complain, complain, complain. That's all you ever do. Don't you ever say anything nice? Can't you be positive? Do any of us know people that attack the source of feedback? Yeah. All right. Thanks for playing around. Okay, we're going to do another one, Rob. Are you ready?
I'm ready.
Okay.
On course, on course, on course, off course, off course, off course, off course, off.
Well, I don't see you doing anything any better, any perfectly. We all make mistakes. You think that you can do this as best as I can? How many of us know that people counterattack when they receive feedback? All right. And then this one I know quite well because sometimes my children would do it. Are you ready?
Yes. On course, on course, on off course, off course.
How many of people know that just don't even listen to feedback? I know a lot of people also. All right, we're going to do it one more time. Are you ready, Rob?
Yes.
Okay.
On course, on course, on course, off course, off course, off course. On course, on course, on course, off course, off course, off course. On course, on course, on course, off course, on course.
All right. I made it to my goal, Rob. Thank you so much. I appreciate you helping me with that demonstration. So as you see, we can take the feedback and listen. And when we're off course, if we listen to it, that feedback, we can get on course. It may take us a while, but we'll eventually get there. So whether you're on course or off course, as we're headed to our goal, if we take that feedback, we can use it to stay on course or course correct along the way. But without honoring and taking in the feedback, we may stop, get stuck, waste time, create conflict, or in essence, not make the best use of our times and not make the efforts worth moving forward. Now, most of us like positive feedback, but what we call negative feedback can also be very useful. Feedback lets us know how we're doing and helps us make improvements. Take the time to stop, look, listen to the feedback that people are trying to give you. Listen to your children, your friends, your husband or wife. You might learn something that might be useful to you. Always take the time to see if there is really any truth to what they're saying. If there is, think about what you could do to change to be more successful and take that action. If it isn't, then just release it without arguing with the person. You might even try saying, "Thank you for caring enough for sharing that with me." So in conclusion, we look at feedback as something that we can use to increase our goals and get us closer to that. Thank you, Madam or Mr. Toastmaster.
Thank you, Vicki. That was a very wonderful speech that I've been thinking about that topic myself. I sometimes have a problem receiving negative feedback, especially if it's delivered in a critical manner. But as you noted, that's not the way to do it. It would sometimes my response tends to abnegate the feedback, which is not a good thing to do. So thank you. Now we need 1 minute for comments to Vicki using the chat feature.
1 minute on the clock. That's 1 minute. Please go ahead and wrap up your comments.
Thank you, Ian. By federal and state law and international treaty, the next part of our meeting is the ever popular Table Topics segment. Our Table Topics master is one of our newly minted distinguished Toastmasters. Please help me welcome Mary Syrie to lead us through this part of the meeting.
Thanks, Dean. Thank you for the recognition. You're paying attention, aren't you? You're a true Toastmaster. Winter, a promise or a threat? Well, I have to say, first of all, that today's weather was, well, it took me back to the first 60 years of my life. And it was like this every day in the winter. 1999, I think, was the worst winter on record. I called my husband one day in January and I said, make reservations and hotel reservations and flight reservations for Hawaii, and let's get out of here in February. And he did. Best spontaneous vacation we ever had. It's just to get out of Dodge. But it's not that bad over here in the winter, usually. So I had to do a little search on winter promise and winter threat. With winter promise, interestingly, if you Google that, you get a list of websites devoted to homeschooling curriculum. But you search on winter threat, and you get just a host of bad weather forecasts and winter storm disasters. Do you see the irony there? If you're homeschooled, you miss out on the joy of hearing that school is canceled due to bad weather. Well, in those cases, nobody can go to school, but everybody can go outside and play. Steve Schwinn, do you remember those days? Can you share a snowy day memory with us?
Thank you, Mary. I remember those days very vividly. I think I might still have remnants of frostbite that resulted from them. As a child growing up in North Dakota, winters were often sub-zero, and we thought nothing of going outside and playing in the snow until we were iceberg. Great thing when I was in third grade was that we lived in a three-story house. The second story had this great balcony with these cutouts around the porch, and we could climb out on the ledge and jump and sink into the snow up to our waists. And you'd wriggle and wiggle and jostle and finally extract yourself from this ton of snow that we had. One winter we had a great windstorm that accompanied the snowfall, and it resulted in the snow piling up against the side of the house to the point where we could slide off the roof all the way back to the ground. Winter was a ton of fun until we came in the house complaining about being so cold. Mom would put ice cold water in the bathtub or in the sink and plunge our hands in there, and it felt like we had put our pinkies into cauldrons of boiling water waiting for them to unthaw. Actually, to thaw. You can't unthaw, that would be to freeze. Excruciating pain. It was unbelievable. We loved it, and we did it day after day after day. Thanks for asking.
North Dakota, I did not know that. You're made out of special stuff.
I hear that often.
Yeah. Well, speaking of the northern cold climates, I have a lot of Norwegian blood in me, so I've kind of been thinking about my ancestors today. The Norwegians have a saying, there's no such thing as bad weather, only bad clothing. Ron Slaybaugh, can you tell us about an event in your life where you proved this to be true? There's no such thing as bad weather, only bad clothes.
Well, the theme being winter, Mary, I can say that fortunately, in my many years being alive, I cannot think of a time where I didn't dress appropriately for the winter. Usually been pretty thoughtful about that. However, there have been more times than I can count, although I can't think of one specifically, where I have left Eastern Washington, where, let's face it, our weather over here is really nice, and gone over to Western Washington for some sort of an event. And I forget to bring a coat. Just don't think about it. And get over there and not necessarily, this was particularly true before phones, when we had these apps on our phone to tell us what the weather was. I just didn't think about it. If it was nice over here and I was wearing shorts and a t-shirt, I might throw a pair of pants in the bag to take with me, but wouldn't really think about a coat. You get over there and man, it would be cold, particularly if there were some sort of event that I were attending that went into the evening. There I was in my t-shirt, freezing, might have a baseball cap on or something like that. Luckily, even those events are behind me. I've gotten a lot better at it, and I've had to be uncomfortable enough times early on that I don't do that anymore. I feel like I'm a little bit over-prepared these days when I travel out of Eastern Washington, because I don't want to be uncomfortable. So I always bring a coat, or maybe a couple of different coats, and some extra shoes and some socks in case something happens and those socks get wet. I haven't found myself ever unprepared, in conclusion, for winter, and more so with the varying weather that we could observe. I've been in pretty good shape. Thank you for asking, Madam Toastmaster.
Very good. I've had that same experience, but in the month of June, where it's a lovely day here. I go up to Bellingham, hit Stevens Pass, and it's just socked in. Ugh. Forget about June. Bad weather brings comfort food. The Danes have hygge. It's the act of sitting around with friends and feeling content and cozy. The Swedes have fika. Every afternoon they pause to drink coffee and eat cinnamon rolls. The Norwegians, I think it must be coffee and lefse. I don't know. Kathleen McNulty, what ritual do you use to hunker down with only in the cold winter months? And how did this tradition start?
Thank you, Madam Toastmaster. We do have a tradition in our house when it's cold out, and it has to do with making soup. I love to make broths out of all kinds of bones. I have a standing broth that's sort of like a sourdough starter. You keep a broth that you've started maybe with chicken, and then you have a steak one night with a bone in it, and you throw the bone in and you cook it some more, and then maybe you cook a whole chicken and then you throw the extra bones in for that, and you create this ongoing stock that's sort of a mixture of beef and chicken and lamb and whatever else happens to be around. That's the base, a mixed up stock. On top of that, you open the refrigerator and you just see what's in there. The soup that day might be made of acorn squash if you have it, or there might be green beans in it. There might be hamburger in it. It might turn into chili if I've got some chili peppers around. One time I made something called bread soup. Basically a vegetable soup, but in the end you thicken it by throwing shards of bread that's stale into the soup, and then you let it cook longer. Soup is really our comfort food. It makes the whole house smell heavenly. Whenever my family comes in, that will be one of the first things they ask on the weekend in the winter. What's going to be in the soup today? I abnegate the answer on that one. It could be anything. Thank you, Madam Toastmaster.
Oh, I think that's how the greatest recipes are developed, when you don't have the standard ingredients and you use what's on hand. I love that idea. Bad weather chores, shoveling snow, cleaning out the gutter during a rainstorm. What is the top of your list of bad weather chores, Lloyd Smith? And tell us how you plan to reassign them to someone else.
Thank you, Madam Table Topics Master. I've already taken care of that reassignment because I live in a condo complex and I pay a monthly HOA fee. So my winter chore, obviously it hasn't snowed yet to require plowing, but when it does, I'll stand in the window with a cup of coffee and watch the guys go by, or sometimes not watch them because occasionally they'll do it at 3 a.m. with their little front end loader. But in any event, that still beats me having to do it. In the fall, our gutters were cleaned here a couple of weeks ago. I stood in the window and watched the guys clean out the gutters. And yesterday was the last day for our landscapers. So they showed up and did their cleanup and whatnot. I stood in the window and watched them do that. And I've got to tell you, I like it a lot. I like not climbing up on ladders to clean out gutters. I really enjoy not shoveling snow. During the summer months, I definitely enjoy not mowing the lawn. Fall and spring, I enjoy not trimming the shrubs. So I think I've been really successful at assigning all of those unpleasant tasks, something I'm perfectly willing to trade money for, I've learned. Madam Table Topics Master.
And you've earned it, right? You've put in your time of all those chores and home ownership. Ian, your job takes you outside once in a while, I think. What are your deep feelings about winter, promise, or threat?
I was outside today. Let me start my timer. I was outside today and it was pouring down rain and it was snowing at the same time. Right prior to heading out into the field to take a look at this safety concern that had come up, my daughter ran in and she said, "Dad, it's raining slush." And she was exactly right. It was disgusting. We got a good inch or two of solid, well, not so solid slush today. This winter is one that I am not looking forward to because it's supposed to be a tough winter. That's what I hear. Last winter, I had a pretty sour experience with winter because I'd moved into a new house actually just over a year ago. It was November last year. And this home that I'm in came with this riding lawnmower that had a snowblower mounted to the front of it. And if anybody's ever snowblowed on a riding lawnmower with a snowblower in any depth of snow, they've realized that it's a miserable job. This year, I was planning on having a nice fancy snowplow for a side-by-side that I bought in the springtime. And I've had my side-by-side in the shop for a month and a half now, I believe, and it's snowing. And this last weekend, I had to go out in the shop and I had to put that snowblower back on the riding lawnmower because the dealership, I'm sorry, not the dealership, the manufacturer is arguing with the dealership about what the problem with my brand new side-by-side is. So they're not willing to make the repairs yet. Meanwhile, I am sitting here thinking about how it's snowing and how I'm gonna have to spend time on this stupid riding lawnmower, freezing my tail off again. Thank you, Madam Table Topics Master.
Oh, sometimes you just have to get that off your chest, don't you? Oh, that's frustrating. I think that let me start over on that. There's a sign when you drive into Wenatchee about the home of the biggest apple pie in the world. That was 2 decades ago, I think. Pat Whitfield, can you suggest a winter activity that Wenatchee could strive to achieve world recognition with?
Wouldn't it be wonderful if Wenatchee could become the world champion of building ice castles. We have the river running through our towns of Wenatchee and East Wenatchee, and we have all that water. Wouldn't it be wonderful if we have a park, lovely parks alongside the river. So we've got the bare essentials. So now what we need is people with imagination, people with skill, and people who know how to keep ice things cold. So it might be a little early now, but as we get into December and January, that has possibilities. Or if we didn't want to do ice castles, we could do the largest ice apple in the world. And that could just be amazing. It would carry our theme through. It would fit with what we're about as a community. And yet think how beautiful it would be to put it someplace where people couldn't miss seeing it, watching it sparkle in the sunlight, shimmering in the moonlight, and causing people to say, oh, I abnegate spring because I adore winter.
That's great. That's great. I love that idea. I did a little research on the Finns. I think they are hilarious. They make the most of unusual sports. You've probably heard of wife carrying contests, cell phone throwing contests. They also have swamp soccer, and get this, anthill sitting. Yeah, sitting. I just hope they don't have fire ants. Rob Tidd, if you could initiate an unusual sport competition that would put Wenatchee on the map, what new sport, especially a winter sport, would you promote?
Thank you, Madam Table Topics Master. As I was listening to Pat talk about the ice apple and the ice castles, it gave me a shiver up my body. I typically abdicate any outdoor activities because I'm not a cold weather person and I'm truly going to miss the warm weather. However, this year is different. I am so looking forward to getting outside and doing outdoor activities, whether it's skiing at Mission Ridge, whether it's snowshoeing, whether it's hiking, all the normal things that we like to do in our beautiful valley. As far as any sport that would bring national recognition to Wenatchee, I think it would be something like the international hot dog eating contest or something like that. So I'm thinking we do an apple eating contest to see how many people or what people can eat the most apples in, say, an hour. And I think that would fit with our theme here in the Valley of being the apple capital of the world. And I think that would further solidify our international recognition as the apple capital of the world. Thank you, Madam Table Topics Master.
What a fun idea. I think apple peeling, like knife and apple, and see how many apples you can peel. And then make the biggest apple pie. Joyce. Some people are really good at making their own entertainment, but I had to do some Google searching on good pastimes for when you're stuck inside in the winter. And here's some of the suggestions of fun things to do when you're stuck inside in the winter. Plan your summer vacation, nap, clear your browser's bookmarks, and meditate. Finally, somebody said, happy hour, spike your coffee and spike your hot chocolate, and a few other fun things. So can you improve on this? What fun and stimulating indoor activity would you put on your list?
Thank you, Madam Topic Master. My family comes from the land of workaholism. We abnegate any kind of non-productive fun mostly. I have learned living on my own that it's quite nice to do nothing sometimes, even though there is a part of my brain that screams, "What are you doing? The house needs to be cleaned." And the cat says, "No, it doesn't." She'll plop on my lap and say, "No, no." What I like to do for fun, if you would like to call it that, I have two things that I like to do. I like to crochet. Sometimes it turns out, through no fault of my own, to look like what I was trying to make it look like. I will take a bunch of yarn and, through no fault of my own, it will turn into a hat instead of, God only knows. When I started out, it was pretty horrible. The second thing I like to do is go on to Google Maps and go to different countries. You don't need a passport. You don't need shots. You don't have to worry about being mugged unless someone breaks into your house. That's a different story. That's never happened to me, thank God. Also, you can go into Street View. I have been up on the Eiffel Tower so many times that I can tell you how beautiful it is during a sunset, yet I've never been there physically. That's just one of the things that I can do when I'm bored at work in between projects. Either that, or I go to Big Lots and get a bunch of treats and hand them off to people, because if I can't be skinny, everyone around me is going to be fat too. Thank you.
I love your vocal variety. You nailed it with that. Let's see, one more, and I'd like to give Lucas a chance here. Winter means binge watching. I've watched every episode of Midsummer Murders. Every episode of Murdoch Mysteries. It's getting so bad, we're starting to watch Leave It to Beaver reruns. Save us. What is your recommendation for binge watching to get through the long, dark winter evenings?
Well, thank you for asking that easy question for me, Madam Table Topics Master. I actually just finished watching an amazing show on Netflix, and it's called Yellowstone. And I am usually not a huge Netflix person, but this particular show happened to catch my attention, and I could not stop watching it. I watched the entire show with my wife, Alyssa, over a 2-week period, and it consists of 4 seasons that it's currently being filmed right now. So at the end of the last season, I won't give you guys what happened in the last episode, but they left us at a huge cliffhanger, and they just told us that the next episode is going to be coming out in the summer. And so I cannot believe that they left us there having to wait multiple months until the next episode comes out so we can finally know what happens. And so, yes, I would recommend Yellowstone. It's a phenomenal show. Back to you, Madam Table Topics Master.
Okay, I'll look into that. We're actually watching Little Dorrit, Charles Dickens series. It's on, it's either on Netflix or Amazon. But I love those period pieces. Even though everyone's poor and they're all wearing raggy clothes, but I love watching, that and Queen's Gambit. If you like chess, oh my gosh. I could have watched that in one sitting. But enough about me. We're getting back to table topics, and I think it's time to wrap it up. This was a lot of fun. Great topic, Lloyd. And I'd like to now turn it back to our Toastmaster, Dean.
Thank you, Mary. That was one of the best table topics sessions I've seen in quite some time. Great questions and great responses. Thank you for that. The next part of our meeting is the evaluation segment, where we get feedback from the evaluators. To lead this session, please welcome Christina Stepper to lead this.
Thank you, Dean. As promised, when I spoke with you at the beginning, you now will get to hear from every member of the team, beginning with our speech evaluator, Mr. Eric Stepper.
Thank you, Madam General Evaluator. My pleasure to evaluate Vicky's speech. Vicky is a DTM, and Vicky, you've given many speeches, and I've seen many of them, and I've even evaluated some of them, and you've done very well with your speaking ability over the years, and you've made a lot of progress, and you are very confident, and I enjoy watching you give a speech because I know it's going to be a good, well-delivered speech with some substance. And most of the times it's relevant to Toastmasters, which is the case in this one. I am supposed to give you some tips to work on so I can evaluate you next time. So I'm going to be kind of tough on you. But part of the good parts is that you had great dramatics. You got into your dramatics with your interaction with Rob and your voice variety. You had a good smile. You always have a nice smile. You engaged Rob well, and you had him prepped well because your interaction was very seamless and he knew what he was doing. I appreciate that part of it. What you want to work on? I felt like you were reading a script and you could see your eyes following the script and you lost eye contact with the audience and with me. Work on that a little bit. Outline your speech. Demonstration speech, it's hard to memorize it, but outline it so that you talk more off the top of your head there. One thing that you can try and do to really challenge yourself, and I haven't done this and I've seen it done here, is to stand when you give your speech. In the absence of that, try and get back from the screen so we can see your hands and your gestures. When you were in your demonstration mode, you had them up and we could see that, and that worked well. But you're also a very demonstrative person with lots of good gestures. So try experimenting with getting back from the screen if standing is tough, so that we can see more of your gestures and more of your body movement. But other than that, I look forward to seeing progress with the next speech and evaluating that. Thank you, Mr. General Evaluator.
Thank you, Eric. It's always informative for all of us to listen to the evaluations. Think about applying the suggestions to our own speeches, even our own table topics. Next member of our team, our timer, is Ian Adams. Ian, could we hear from you, please?
Yes, thank you, Madam General Evaluator. I'm not going to abnegate anything tonight. We all rocked it. Everybody was right in their time slot. Vicky, your speech was 5 to 7 minutes. You came in at 7 minutes and 10 seconds, which is within that 30-second buffer you have there on the closing. Eric, your speech evaluation was at 2 minutes and 38 seconds. Steve, you came in at 2 minutes and 3 seconds with your table topics. Ron, 1 minute and 56 seconds. Kathleen, 2 minutes and 7 seconds. Lloyd, you came in at 1 minute and 17 seconds. I came in at 1 minute and 44. Pat, 1:02. Rob also came in at 1 minute and 44. Twinsies. Joyce, 2:01. And Lucas, 1 minute and 12. Thank you, Madam General Evaluator.
Thank you, Ian. Nice, succinct report. We can never abnegate the importance of our grammarian. Lucas, would you share your report with us, please?
Thank you, Madam General Evaluator. Well, our total was at 6 before you snuck that one in there. So congratulations. Our total is 7. So the first use of the word came from Dean, and he said that it was very easy to abnegate feedback when it was given, which I tend to agree with. Kathleen used it next, and she said that she abnegates the type of soup. So she's going to be cooking. So she's going to let it be a surprise for whoever her guests are. Pat said that the huge apple would sure cause people to abnegate springtime, which I also tend to agree with because it would be very cool. Rob said that he abnegates outdoor winter activities. So he proposed a apple eating contest to follow along with Pat. Let me see, Joyce. Joyce abnegates non-productive activities, and she spends a lot of time on Google Maps traveling around the world, which I also do. It's very addicting. I'm glad somebody else shares that with me. Ian also snuck one in at the end and said he snuck that one in right at the end. I said that. And then Christina as well. So nice job using the word abnegate today. It was really fun to see your guys' uses. Back to you, Madam General Evaluator.
Thank you, Lucas. Very thorough report. I appreciate that. We all appreciate that. The next member of our team is our esteemed all counter, Joyce Matheson. Joyce, would you share your report with us, please?
I will. The best part about being on Zoom is you don't know where I live. In all honesty, I think we all did a very good job. Ian, you had one well. Rob, clean as a whistle. Dean, one Christina, clean as a whistle. Eric, one and a but it was on key. Lucas, when I started Toastmasters, I was the queen of the wells, the and the You did one one well, 3 so's, and your last part, we love you very much and we're glad you're here, 9 But you did at least a dozen less than those who are being interviewed on television. So I believe that is a good thing. Any morning talk show turns my hair white, but I digress. Vicki, you had 3 so's. Mary, you had 2 wells. Lloyd, 3 ahs. Jackie's not here, so clean as a whistle, unlike her sinus passages, I'm sure. Poor girl. Steve, clean as a whistle. Ron, Kathleen, and Pat, clean, clean, clean. This house is clear. Back to you.
Thank you, Joyce. The overall meeting was tons of fun, as usual. One of the things I particularly enjoy that I shouldn't probably be doing while we're doing this is looking behind everyone at what is hanging on walls or what doorways are there. Oh, there we get to see more of Joyce's. Sometime we should do an abbreviated meeting and have Zoom tours of homes just to see where we all live. That'd be kind of fun, wouldn't it? Our meeting this evening was very well organized, very much in order. There's Joyce's knitting. All of the reports were wonderful. The speeches were well done. Mary, nice job on the table topics, making comments after each one and segueing to the next. We are actually a little bit ahead of time right now, which is a wonderful thing. I think last week we were 5 minutes late, so maybe this week we'll get done a few minutes early. It'll all balance out in the long run. One thing we do need to do is submit the votes for Speaker of the Evening. As I did not participate other than in this role, please send your votes to me in the chat. If you choose my name, choose our name, Eric and Christina, and send your votes, please. We will tally them. I will, who am I turning it back to? Turn the meeting back to our president, Ian.
Sorry, it caught me right in the middle of voting there. At this point, I only have just a few comments. I don't want to step on Lloyd's shoes too much, but so I'll keep my comments brief. There was a notice that went out, I believe yesterday, about some unofficial emails that came out from Toastmasters, and I hope everybody saw this. But if you did not, there is an email that came out from the director at admin.alss.net. And if anybody got any emails from that, it's a phishing attempt. And we're asked to please report those to the cybersecurity at Toastmasters. I can pass this information along to anybody that doesn't have that email. If anybody's interested, just shoot me a quick message. The other thing is that we have a training coming up, and there was a change in the date on the officer training. It was scheduled initially on Wednesday, November 18th, but it's now been postponed to November 21st. With that, I'm going to go ahead and ask if Lloyd has anything additional to input tonight.
Thank you, Ian. I will reinforce what Ian just said. There's a club officer training this Saturday, the 20, whatever it is. No, yeah.
Yeah, 21st.
Yeah, 21st. And it's important that every club have 4 officers there. There was a blurb that came out today with the registration thing on it. I will send that link with my email tomorrow morning too. If you haven't registered, please do that. It starts at, it's going to be online, obviously, and it starts at 9 a.m. And
Yes.
Vicky is running this, and she swears it will not go beyond 1 p.m. no matter what. The first round of this was actually shorter. So kudos to Vicky about that. It's a rare thing to have happen. And then I'll also mention, Ian, that Toastmasters has a policy, Toastmasters International. They never use their emailing list to solicit anything at all other than official Toastmasters business. So when you get a request for your personal information or money or anything like that, that is a phishing attempt. You know, so I'm not sure who got those emails. I did not get one of the phishing ones, but lots of people did. I know that. So if you see something that looks a little weird, it probably is weird and you should ignore it. Back to you, Ian.
Thanks, Lloyd. Also, great advice to take just in general about any email that you get, whether it's a weird looking one from Toastmasters or not, just be cautious. Yeah. I don't have anything further to add, so I'd like to know, Christina, do we have a winner for tonight's speaker?
We do. 6 speakers got votes this evening. The winner is Vicky. Congratulations, Vicky.
Congratulations, Vicky.
Thank you.
Thanks, everyone. And does anybody have any additional comments?
I just wonder if I can gloat a little bit to all of you.
You bet.
Oh,
I've done a couple of things. I showed a friend a painting of mine. You guys want to see it?
Yes.
Sure.
Oh, that's cool.
Wow.
That's pretty good.
This is my grandson, Archer. He was having a pensive moment, apparently.
Rare and pensive.
And I actually was pretty happy that I captured this. Well, I showed this to a friend of mine who commissioned me to do some work for him. And now I have to do 3 of his grandchildren, one of which is right here.
Wow.
oh,
Nice.
Very cool, Steve.
Yeah, good job.
However you make those things. So, I'm excited about the fact that somebody's actually willing to part with some of their money for some of my work.
Very cool.
congratulations.
Yeah.
That sounds like the definition of success to me, Steve. And with that, I would like to go ahead and adjourn this evening's meeting. Thanks, everyone. We'll see you
Night,
next.
everyone.
Stay